This post comes from a Reddit user who has surfed the deep web extensively. He describes his interactions with the deep web in a shocking detail and recounts some of the most gruesome things that he's found on here. Here is one site that he stumbled upon. There is a website called Paul's Pressure Tank. The actual URL is different, so don't bother trying to find it. This Paul guy has created a pressure tank from scratch. It has a lot of features, the obvious being manipulating pressure, but it can be heated up sort of like a brazen bowl. For those of you who don't know what a brazen bowl is, it is a bowl made of brass with a hatch on top. The victim is thrown into it and the bowl is heated up. The person is then roasted alive inside of Paul's tank. There's a camera, and for a rather large amount of money, for about 2 to 5 bitcoins, you can have a child, an adult, a teenager, basically anyone killed in the exact way you want. I don't know what is capable of, but after seeing a person being roasted alive, and another being killed due to high pressure, I'm not interested in seeing any more. Allegedly, it has sprinklers that can fill the tank with a liquid of your choice. Acid, hot water, piss, anything. But I'm not sure if that last part is true. All I know is what I saw. My first trip to the deep web was both very exciting and nerve-wracking. I heard all the stories, but I still didn't really know what to expect. Turns out there's a lot of dead links, as well as a lot of spam scams, and obviously drugs. So unsatisfied, I dig a little deeper, trying to avoid all the screwed up snuff videos, CP, and gore porn. What I did find, however, was equally as eye-opening and revealed to me how disgusting some members of the human race can be. I stumbled upon a very particular forum. It was a forum for people who were HIV positive. I clicked through to check it out, not really knowing what to expect, since this was surely something that could be discussed on the surface web. What I found was not what I expected, and in all honesty, reading their post made me feel sick. There was a group of gay men who were HIV positive discussing how they were going to intentionally pass the virus onto unexpected victims. They went on to explain in great detail their favorite techniques how to do so. Here is what one particularly fucked up user posted. This is really heavy stuff, and I mean it when I say it. Made me feel sick, so listen at your own risk. I'm a biker, living in London, UK, and I discovered 3 major ways of positing up an unsuspected negative. The first I discovered by accident when I was fucking a guy and the condom broke. I said I was sorry, and I was, but later on it made me smile. Then I was doing another guy and the condom broke. When I put it on, I fucked them anyways, feeling guilty and horny as hell at the same time. Then I started pricking the rubbers in their packets so that when I started fucking, they'd split, but this doesn't always work. So now you gotta be extra sure to go to the clubs with a pair of nail scissors, pick up a handful of condoms, go to the toilet, sit down, and carefully cut open the packets and remove the condom and snip off the tip. Then I rolled it back up and slide it back into my pocket. Then I look for guys who are into safe sex only. I've done hundreds of guys using this method over the years. The second method is more work, but more fun. I chat up negatives online who want to go bareback with another negative. I say I tested negative 1 month ago. I've always tested negative. If they want, I tell them I'll pull out before shooting, but I never do. There's plenty of guys into getting fucked by a biker leather and a crash helmet. So I do them like the first time, then I get more intimate, smiling and kissing passionately. I make sure I fuck them at least 5 times, then I stay in touch with them to see how they get on. I've done about 20 guys using this method over the years, and I only failed once. When they tell me that they tested positive, I say, oh god, how did that happen? You think I should get tested too? Thank God for chat rooms, they can't see how much I'm smiling. There was, sadly, more to this story. Of course, there were more posts like this, but it only gets more disturbing from here, and I think you get the point already. After doing some research afterwards, it seems like other people have checked out the same forum as me, and I had a similar reaction. So if you want to check out the rest of the post and see how it ends up, you could do so with a simple surf web search, using a term like deep forum post and checking the images in Google search. I do recommend you don't do this, however, for your own stomach's sake. The world can be a pretty sick place. Sometimes I think I need to go and watch a few cat videos or something. Let me start by saying that if you go on the deep web, you will inevitably come across something you don't want to see sooner rather than later. I explored it quite extensively, and let me say that some of the things that you will see on there will stay with you for quite a while, maybe change you a little, or even at least the way you look at your fellow man. More worryingly, you might even find yourself becoming desensitized to those things that should disgust you. This is unfortunately what happened to me. You might think that you don't have any innocence left in you. Now that you're an adult or not a child anymore, and now that you know all about the real world, trust me, you probably have more innocence than you think. Don't kill it off by digging too far into the deep web. Anyway, as you'd expected, I'd seen all the obvious stuff and then some. Decapitation videos, co-recruitment sites, but one that a lot of people don't talk about are crush vids. These are videos of women stepping on cats or rabbits or other small animals in high heels, usually against a glass table, and then they proceed to crush the animal to death. These are fetish videos for guys, and I suppose in some instances girls. You get a sexual kick out of this sort of thing. Now before anyone judges me, I don't get that kind of enjoyment out of them, but I suppose I watched maybe 4 of these videos due to morbid curiosity. You know it's wrong to look, but you can't turn away. The same reason most of us have watched 2 girls, 1 cup, I suppose. It's interesting, but it's fucked. The most messed up one that I saw featured a woman sticking the heel of her stiletto through the eye of a baby cat. What was even more shocking was that this woman did it all with a smile on her face, in such a jolly manner like I didn't even faze her. Yeah, if you're an animal lover, stay away from these kinds of things. Now, on to the meat of the story. One time, I received an invite to a website after chatting with some guy online. He told me it was something he thought I really liked. Not really knowing what to expect, I followed the link. This was, as you probably expect, a mistake. The link took me to a site with just a video on it. The images were very poor quality and very grainy. In the video, there were 4 Chinese guys sat around the table. Some crummy apartment, I'm pretty sure they were all drunk. And one of them was resting his head and his arms against the table as the camera occasionally dipped downwards. You could see the floor area beneath them was covered in a tarp. Nothing much else was happening. I wanted to skip forward because I was getting bored, but that's when I realized you couldn't. This was a live stream, the guy who sent me. The link said to keep waiting and just give it 5 minutes. So I popped open another tab while I waited and checked back on the stream every so often. At one point, when I clicked back on the video, there was only 3 of the men sat around the table and a box appeared above the video. The words in the text box were all in Chinese. I'm pretty sure it was Chinese at least, but I remember very distinctly that there were 4 boxes each with numbers in them that kept changing. I didn't think much after that at first. Not long afterwards, the 4th guy returns to the table. He was now holding a revolver in his hands. He sat back down on the table with the other men, placed the gun on the table. You could hear the guy holding the camera saying something, but obviously I didn't understand what. He sounded very aggressive in his tone, though that's all I could really discern. There were a couple of other voices coming off camera, chiming in to the guy at the table who had brought the gun, grounded something. Ken spun the pistol on the table. That's when I realized this was a live game of Russian roulette. For some sort of gambling website, people would stake their bitcoins on what I assumed was a 4-to-1 bet. That's when the changing numbers were at the top of the screen. The Chinese characters must have referred to the different guys at the table, and I assumed the changing numbers was the amount of cash being staked on each player. Whether the money was wagered for the man to live or die is something that I can't answer. It was like something out of the fucking Deer Hunter. I couldn't believe that, but these guys didn't look like they'd been captured or forced against their will to play. They just looked like tired businessmen. Maybe they were a group of desperados who really needed cash, or maybe they were really forced. I don't really know. I should have stopped watching at the point, but I guess I'm included. For punishment, the guy who the gun ended up pointing at put it against his head and pulled the trigger. The chamber was empty, so he was okay. Then the next guy took the gun from him. He didn't even fucking hesitate to stick the gun in his mouth and pull the trigger. There was a brief flash. I don't know if anyone's seen the Bud Dwyer video, but it reminded me of that in the sense that there was a fucking fountain of blood coming out of his head. One little detail I remember was a small amount of smoke rising out of the man's mouth and nostrils as he collapsed back in his chair. A couple of people off camera came in sight and dragged him away in his chair. I turned that shit off immediately after seeing that. I don't know if that's a regular thing that happened on the site, or whether this was some type of one-off event that somehow had been advertised on the deep web to attract an audience. I do think about that video from time to time, along with a few other fucked up ones that I see. Like I said, this shit stays with you.